Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new edition of Rams Revealed, presented by NFL All Day. And Happy New Year. This is officially the start of the 2023 NFL campaign. I'm your host, JB Long, and our guest today is the new special teams coordinator for your Los Angeles Rams. We welcome former NFL linebacker, two-time Super Bowl champion Chase Blackburn to Los Angeles and to the Rams. How's your transition going?
Going good. Quick and smooth, but life is good.
This is episode 100, by the way, of Rams Revealed. So your timing is impeccable. There'll be like a coffee mug
there you go. Get something,
the occasion
free
or
ticket,
something in your mailbox soon. Yeah. But you have a wife and three sons. Is that correct?
That is, yeah. My wife, Megan, we've been going on 15 years and then three boys.
Okay. So you break the news. We're going to California. Their reaction is what?
Excitement. You know, it was hard because they were at school and we were trying to figure out how to tell them. We were trying to get back home the next day and tell them in person. And my wife had ordered some Rams gear and was excited. But then it was like, okay, well, they're in that age now where there's social media and they go to school the next day. Someone's going to tell them. You know, one of their friends is going to be like, "Oh, your dad's in LA." So we decided to go ahead and do it over FaceTime. Not old fashioned, but somewhat.
They involved in sports, athletes?
Everything under the sun. A lot of baseball, football, basketball. Did a little wrestling, soccer. Done a little bit of everything, but football, baseball, basketball is where we really settled in.
Cool. Looking forward to meeting them, and I promise this is not what the weather is typically like around here. You feel like you landed in the NFC West, but Seattle rather than LA probably.
No doubt.
It'll correct, I promise.
I brought it with me. That's my fault.
There you go. Any friends or professional contacts in the organization or on staff, or are you kind of starting anew here?
Yeah. So Jake Peets and I work together in Carolina, so know him very well. Known Springer for a year now, so that was an easy transition. Obviously, a few years ago, I was talking with Sean about coming here before I stayed in Carolina. So there's a little bit of some familiarity and the guys around, and it's been very open. I mean, I've went to dinner pretty much every night with somebody, just trying to get to know everybody and hang out a little bit outside of the building, which has been really good.
I was going to ask if there's any camaraderie building. There are 10 new members of this staff, so are you guys like doing trust falls on your breaks between meetings or anything?
Not yet, but we've definitely had a bite to eat and hung out and just been able to talk a little bit and pop in each other's offices when you need a 5-minute break, watching the film and breaking guys down. So helps out a little bit.
Chase, I'm hoping you can confirm something for me. I think I actually found a deep connection between you and Sean. All right, tell me if this is true or not. Do you know where I'm going with this?
Miami, Ohio.
2004, the Akron Zips. Your senior year.
Yep.
You're 6-5, carrying a 5-game winning streak into the MAC regular season finale. What would prove to be your final game?
Yep.
Is that right?
Unfortunately, after we blew the lead.
You play host to Miami of Ohio, and Sean McVay was redshirting as a freshman receiver on that team.
Yep.
How's that for a small world connection?
I know it is. There's so many people from Ohio, and I feel like in this building, the building I just left in Tennessee, it's really interesting how many coaches there are from Ohio, whether connected to Miami of Ohio or just the state in general. But it's really cool to be around it.
I do want to circle back to your playing career, some of the lessons learned, some of your memories, but let's start with the here and now. And I'm curious, what's the mission statement in terms of the 23 Rams on special teams, maybe your core principles that you tried to articulate during the interview process?
You know, the biggest thing is we're going to be on the attack. We're going to be smart, but we're going to be aggressive. We've got to put guys on their heels, and we can't be sitting back waiting on things to happen. So we're always going to be in the attack, but we're going to do it very much within the scheme. We're going to be sound and simplistic in everything that we do, yet aggressive in our nature.
Similar question, but I'll phrase it a different way, and that is, as a former special teams player yourself, the best kicking units that you were ever a part of, what do they have in common?
There's a couple different things. Number one, I think it's just the culture of everyone on the team. It's a team-first organization, and everything that we do has to believe in that. So whether that's a starting linebacker on a punt team to get us out of a game, or end of a game kickoff where we have to make the last tackle to win the game, and your guys want to go out there and compete and go play, where it's there's no guys stepping to the side and kind of like, you guys go ahead and go. And if we build that culture, which I see has already started, and the guys have already that popped in my office just to introduce themselves, the players that have been through here working out, we have that, and it's going to be good to see and develop that competition, and that'll be the number one thing.
I'm glad some current Rams have already introduced themselves. I was worried about you a little bit, like, congratulations, Chase, you're the new special teams coordinator of the Los Angeles Rams. This is going to be your office, and here's your meeting room, and there is nobody in there. not a long snapper, not a punter, not a kicker. It's a blank canvas opportunity, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it is a blank canvas. I'm not saying that those guys would be out of it, you know. Obviously, Matt Gay, congratulations to him because he's had an unbelievable career and he's deserved everything he got. We were texting earlier today just about that, and obviously wanted to work with him. Didn't have the opportunity, but he earned everything he's ever gotten, and so I'm proud of him there. The other guys, you know, obviously – you know, trying to still evaluate those guys as well as the players coming out in the draft, the players that are free agents other places, and trying to make the best decision we can for the team moving forward.
And here's what I see too. It's a roster that seems to be trending younger, maybe a bit unproven in terms of positional roles. So the 90-man group that you're going to have throughout this offseason program is going to be loaded with day 3 picks and undrafted guys, and that's got to speak to your heart a little bit.
I'm telling you, when you get those guys in here, it's a wide open opportunity for those guys. I think it'll help us honestly in the post draft stuff, free agent market later in the free agent market and post draft, because guys will want to come here because they can sense that there's a role for them to be made on this team. If they can hash it out and they can do it the right way, there's opportunities here. And for us, that's big. As you know, as an undrafted free agent, I have a soft spot in my heart for those guys, and I really. I'm going to try to pour into them between myself and Springer and the other guys on the staff. We're going to give them every tool that we can give them and have them put their best foot forward to go compete.
As a franchise that is now scheduled to have 11 picks, I believe, on days 2 and 3 of the draft. And in terms of your draft perspective, interesting time to be sitting down with you. You just touched on it. Undrafted out of Akron, managed to log double-digit NFL seasons, win a couple of rings. What do you think you personally can offer the young men coming into this organization who are hoping to embark on similar journeys? Yeah,
I think number one, I have the personal perspective of it, right? So I think I can offer them some things outside of just coach speak, to be able to get my hands with them, work with them, and tell them what worked for me. I've seen what works for different guys based upon their skill level, their traits, whatever they have. And so being able to play and coach to the best of their skill set, right? Making sure that their strengths stay their strengths, and we're going to coach to those and put them in position to win with their strengths, but we're also going to develop their weaknesses along that. And so being able to give them that along the way, I think really helps from a personal player perspective of, okay, there's some immediate trust level that maybe you get when you coming into a situation that they know that you've done what you're asking them to do, as opposed to a young coach that's like, hey, never done it, and they're trying to figure you out along the way.
Yeah, as they try and earn their role on this roster through special teams, but not limiting them to that. I think your career is a great example of that, where you are much more than a specialist, and yet that's how you earned your keep, so to speak, early on.
No doubt. And I think that goes back to just what we're going to be moving forward with the young guys and having them develop a role on this team. And it doesn't mean I don't want any of them to have to say I'm a special teams player only. Yeah. Like, it's great to start that way, but it's great to have goals and go forward to be offensive, defense. I want nothing but the best for every player that I've ever coached.
Chase, I know I'm jumping around a little bit, but how many times do you think during your playing career you wondered to yourself, have I played my last rep? Like leaving college?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I went to school to be a teacher and a coach. Didn't know I was going to do either of those in the NFL. But it just kind of worked out that way. And when I left college, undrafted, and don't get a call after the draft, and you start thinking, well, that might have been it. And I was actually going to go play arena football before I had to work out with the Giants. So it only takes one.
I actually read a article in the Beacon Journal from 2012. You're about 28 years old at the time. I think it was Mark Herzlich had an injury that kind of started a new process for you. You were on the verge of becoming a substitute teacher in math. So that dream was really heartfelt in terms of other pathways that this might have led.
Yeah, I mean, every time you feel like you've earned something in this game, you come back to realization pretty quick. Like, that was coming off of my 6th year where I led the team in special teams tackles for 6 straight years, and I started some games at linebacker and didn't get an offer from anybody in the league during the lockout or after coming out of the lockout. And so it was kind of like, again, one of those like, oh man, training, getting ready for it, but at the same time, that might have been it. And got an opportunity because of something else. And it's about what you can take advantage of when that one opportunity comes.
We got to get you connected with Michael Hoyt if you haven't been already. You two have a shared affinity for math. He's like an Ivy League educated calculus tutor.
He's way smarter than I am.
Oh, I mean, I think the Rams have like a great chance to lead the NFL in long division this
year.
There we go. Or something. But what made you want to get into coaching similar to, but so much different than teaching.
Yeah, I think I always know when to coach. I had a math teacher / coach, a linebacker coach, a defensive coordinator in high school that I really he poured into us and he grew us as young men, treated us like young men. And that was kind of always my passion, is I always want to help younger generations and reach their goals. Because I think that's what's so cool about this game is you get an opportunity to have like-minded people together with a common focus and then draw it together and see what it really entails and what it can become. Which that's why I wanted to coach. You get so much satisfaction from seeing others succeed. And it's hard. I'll say this as a former player. It's hard because as a player, everything is always in your control. You always felt like it, at least. I always felt like in complete control of everything. I'm going to own. If I have a bad game, it's because I didn't do something right. I didn't make my checks, or I didn't study long enough or hard enough or whatever, didn't get the extra lift, whatever it was. Whereas a coach, it's like, okay, I poured everything into him, but now a Sunday happens. It's like you just step back and you're making adjustments and changes within the game, but you have no true control over each individual player within that play. And so that's a little bit harder as a coach.
Felt like you were talking about parenting there for a little
Very
bit
true.
too,
Same thing.
with kids in middle school aged. Now that you've got a foothold in coaching, right? You kind of put the playing career behind you. I wonder, do you have other aspirations within the coaching ranks, or do you see yourself as a specialist who's already kind of found your niche?
So for a long time, I want to be a head coach. That's always kind of a goal. I don't know that that's left, but I don't know that that's necessarily something I'm like adamant about, like in the near future or anything like that. If it happened, of course, you'd always be interested to learn or listen. At one point I thought about moving to defense and going to linebackers and work my way that way to get there. But I thoroughly enjoy special teams. I get to coach the whole team. I really got a hand in everybody, a voice to every person on our roster, which is something that I can't state enough of how enjoyable that is, because you have an impact on so many more people than just one group, or maybe it's 6 linebackers or 7 defensive linemen, whatever it is. But you have an impact on everybody.
You're running into Sean McVay at an interesting juncture, I think, in his professional tenure. I wonder what impression he's made upon you through your years previously, or your conversations up to this point, and now working in the same building as he does.
Yeah, I think he's reinvigorated. I think he's been amazing to work for already. I know it's been short, but just in our interview process and then the first couple staff meetings and coming in and out of the office with ideas and different things. It's, you hear the outside noise from everybody else when you're somewhere else, but as soon as you get in the building, it's all ball, and it's all just, he cares about us as people, as family, as he cares about the players the same way. And then he obviously is all football. And how can we get the right players here, and how can we coach them the right way to have the most wins possible?
And so what are some of the things that you and he are working on as we go through free agency now that's open, draft a month away, so to speak, as you prepare for what I can only imagine is going to be a hugely influential offseason, both for you and the future of the Rams, because you're going to be right there at the granular level with a lot of these decisions that have to be made through OTAs and training camp. Yeah,
I think, just trying to be in alignment. And I think that's when, again, that you have in this organization with Les and him, and then down through the coaching staff, is there's a lot of alignment that you don't see everywhere. And so for us to be on the same page with all the decisions that need to be made, and everything is going to be made in the best interest of the Rams from moving from today and forward. And then we just got to all be on board and try to figure out the best way to move forward with those decisions and finding the next guys and those type of things, so that we can stay ahead of it. And that's been really, really cool to go through with him so far.
Yeah. Final few from me. I wonder what moment as a player you're most proud of as you reflect back.
Obviously the interception, the Super Bowl was a big one. Coming out after Hurricane Katrina, and we were playing the Saints at home because of it was a home game for them, and we brought it there, and they played, painted everything black. The whole stadium was done in the Saints stuff, and opening kickoff, we get a fumble and I could recover the opening kickoff of the game. That was a pretty cool feeling. Probably just the win of the Super Bowls. You win those and you get to have your family there, especially after the second one. I had 2 of my boys were born at that point. And so being able to be there and having that at that point. It was huge.
The Super Bowl interception. Do you have that ball?
I do. I
had
do.
a feeling.
Yeah, I keep asking, and now that this Tom Brady thing is going viral with him signing all the interception balls, I keep saying I'm going to have him, let's see if he'll do it. But no, I just, my boys play, honestly, my boys played with it for a year and a half before I put it away.
Like in the yard?
In the house, but not, but like, I mean, it was still a little bit beat up, whatever. It's football. So they needed it. They wanted it more than I did. They cared more about just having something to play with. And so, let them do that for a little while. Now it's put up.
You led me to my last two, which are both quarterback related. Your sentiment seeing Tom Brady retire, we think now for good. Your reflections on that, given the intersections of your career and those high point moments.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's one of the best to ever do it, if not the best to ever do it. And ultimate competitor. Love everything about him from that perspective. And then playing against him, you know, he got the best of us in the regular season, but we were forced to come on the right side both times in the Super Bowl. So it's sad to see him go, but it's at the same time a little bit end of an era.
And I'm less curious about your prediction for how he's going to be as a broadcaster and more curious as to your evaluation of Eli Manning as a media figure, whether you saw that coming and what it's like to watch a Manning cast with your former teammate.
I would say it's two different styles probably is what's going to be. You know, Eli and his brother obviously do a great job of just keeping it light, talking football, but not much football. And then just having their guests on there and being involved as opposed to, as for example, like the way Greg Olson's doing right now, another former teammate of mine, and going through that in-game experience and talking with him about what it's been like broadcasting live games and the spotters and all the different people he leans on and to be ahead of it. I'm sure Tom will be the same way, stepping right into it and just a natural at everything he does, no different.
I'll let the NFL schedule makers know. Maybe Rams in the Meadowlands for Monday Night Football.
Here we go.
Kind of get you under the spotlight for Eli to recall some of your stories. That could be good. This was good. Thank you for sitting down with us. Welcome to Los Angeles. Looking forward to welcoming your family as well.
Yep.
And this will go down as history, the 100th episode of Rams Revealed. What a guest.
There'll never be another 100.
Chase Blackburn, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm JB Long, and this is Rams Revealed, presented by NFL All Day.